Hello, everyone, and anyone scraping the bottom of the YouTube barrel for some game commentary. I is the Vagrant Filiqui, and I'm here to talk about Metro Exodus. The Metro series reminds me of the Fallout series. I imagine this is due to the general setting of a post apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, where all the bakeries and emergency services have been shut down. But between the two, I enjoy Metro's focus and continuity more than the Fallout series' open ended storytelling. Yes, I know the Fallout IP has changed hands in a way that the Metro series has not, and I know the continuity and story is not a point of emphasis for the Fallout series, but that simply makes me appreciate its presence in the Metro series more. Basically, I like that the series started with RTM in 2033 and built his story from there. Similar to what you see in the Witcher series, although obviously not exactly because of the way the timeline works in the Witcher games. Nevertheless, this did make me pause to consider about the people who did not play Metro 2033, as it's been over 10 years ago now that it was actually released. Did this or does this prevent them from fully appreciating the story and to a degree the game? Well, yeah, I think obviously it does. So go ahead and play Metro 2033 at the last night if you haven't already. It's okay. I'll wait. There's even a bit of a revised version that's titled Metro Redux. So give that a shot if you haven't have had a chance to play the previous entries. Now that you're all caught up, let's talk Exodus. As I mentioned, one of the things I really enjoyed about the Metro series is its focus. In 2033 and Last Light, you were pretty much confined to linear environments, but in Exodus, they expanded the environments. However, they didn't lose the focus. They didn't go the full open world route, which is usually full of filler quests and repetitive tasks like something you would see in an open world Ubisoft game, but instead, they designed a world where you have plenty of open space to roam around a bit if you so choose, but the focus remains on completing the main task at hand. That is the reason you're in an area to begin with. In a sense, the quests drive the exploration, and the side quests provide more in depth exploration of the region and story. Again, if you so choose to explore it further. To complete the missions, you basically have two options: go in with the intent to kill, or sneak in with the intent to not kill and at worst just knock people out. On my first playthrough, I stuck with the sneak and knockout method primarily because this is how I figured I could assure that I get the good ending. On my second, I went in guns a blazing. Well, that's not entirely true. I tried to sneak, as going in guns a blazing wastes a lot of ammunition. But if I was caught, I decided I was just going to go ahead and kill the person that caught me. Of the two methods, I preferred using lethal force with some sneaking, as there's simply much more variety. As the non-lethal approach and sneak was fun to a point, but after a while, it did feel like I was basically just hiding and punching my way through the game. Just a quick aside, I don't think you can knock people out so effectively just by punching them in the way they do in the game, but I'm not a botanist, so there is that. Easily, the biggest draw that pulls me to the Metro series is the environment and atmosphere of its games. I've seen a lot of reviews talk about the claustrophobic inducing elements of the series, and even though the world has been expanded beyond the focus on the metro tunnels of Moscow and Moscow itself, there are still plenty of claustrophobia inducing environments. However, the inclusion of different environments doesn't stray far from the series' focus on emphasizing the dangers of the post apocalyptic setting. Whether it was in a desert, forest, or swamp like region, each area came with its own unique environmental hazards that were very much a part of the story. However, and I don't see this as much of a negative, but simply something worth noting, aside from the region's unique creature enemies like the giant mutated bear or what I can only imagine is some offspring of Cthulhu, the human enemies are generic and hurl much the same insults. I don't think I've ever heard the term for a female dog used as much as it's used in this game. Again, not so much an issue, just kind of became repetitive after a while. Another highlight of the Metro series is the story. In Exodus, I don't think the series did anything that I wasn't expecting, and I'm okay with that. I liked the heroism and sacrifice in 2033 and Last Light, and I liked it here. However, I do realize that at some point the heroism and sacrifice will become routine to the point where it's boringly predictable, but so far it's still working for me. However, there were elements of the story that I found a bit bland and a little funny. For example, in each region, one of the crew members finds a love interest. I almost felt like I was in some kind of, love train or something. I might be exaggerating a bit, but as technically it only happens 3 times, but still I found it funny. Also, I wish the story would have played up the moral ambiguity that is simply hinted at. I mean, at no time did I really have to think about what would be considered the right or good choice within the game's logic. This is not to say that the story doesn't dabble with moral ambiguity, but ultimately its distinctions between good and bad are pretty clear cut. Because this video is specifically about the Gold Edition, I feel it warranted to talk about the two DLCs, Sam's Story and the Two Kernels. While Sam's Story is the longer DLC, I actually enjoyed the Two Kernels much more. I think it has to do with the tone of the story of the Two Kernels and how it deals with some very somber topics and left me thinking not only about the game world, but the world outside of it. I don't want to go too much. I really don't want to go into detail at all about what happens, but it suffices to say that the story not only pulled at my heartstrings, but made me think of how situations can go from bad to worse, even as individuals try to do their best to simply do what they think is right or find necessary. I'm obviously not here to talk about questions of a philosophical nature, but I do enjoy when games, even if it's only at a superficial level, explore notions of morality and human agency. The main campaign does this as well, but something about the two kernels really made me think about these two concepts. Sam's story was more packed with things to do, but I felt the actual story itself was simply not as compelling. That's not to say I didn't enjoy playing it, but I wasn't as invested in the characters or the story. I mean, I barely paid much attention to Sam throughout the main campaign, so having him at the center didn't do much of anything for me. Oh, the mutated Batman that shows up throughout Sam's story, the only thing I can say about that thing is that it was a headache to take down, and it's probably my least favorite enemy of the whole series at this point. Anyway, the best way I can put it is I played Sam's story because I wanted to play more Metro, not so much because I wanted to see Sam's story. I'll go ahead and start to wrap it up by saying Exodus was a worthy addition to the Metro series, and the Gold Edition provides a clean and, at least based solely on my playthroughs, bug-free experience. There was some stuttering at various points in the game, but nothing that prevented me from playing through it without becoming irate, or nothing that I can definitely say wasn't an issue on my end with my hardware. The two DLCs are worth playing if you want to explore a different angle of the story with the two kernels, or you just want more Metro and Sam's story. Would I have paid $60 for Exodus when it first came out? No, and this has very little to do with the whole Epic Store thing and everything to do with me being very, very, very poor. Like, I want to emphasize how poor I am. I have literally gone into a movie theater and dug up those large tubs of popcorn that people just throw away because they can't finish eating them. Now, I didn't eat the unfinished popcorn. I have a little more class than that. I just used the tub to get that discount you get for refilling a tub as opposed to buying a whole new tub. Anyway, that should give you a pretty good idea of where I'm coming from when I say I wouldn't pay full price for a game. In fact, the last time that I paid full price for a game, I think was back in 2010, so over 10 years ago, and that was Fable 3, which I purchased day one, but ever since then, no. Now, where was I going with this? Oh, right, arbitrary rating. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this game a three-eyed mutated fishes out of three. Well, that wraps it up for me. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It makes me feel all warm inside. If you didn't, hit the dislike button and feel free to tell me everything that I did wrong in the comment section. Till next time.